Welcome to another Rigby Taylor educational video clip. This one's about hydraulic oil and contamination of turf and soil surfaces, and what can we actually do to alleviate the problems caused by the inevitable, which I'm sure we've all had, which is a leak or a pipe burst. So there are other things we can do. We've all seen this on the site on the left-hand side. Unfortunately, machinery a pipe has burst, and it's caused a major problem in terms of contaminating the soil. And obviously, that grass will actually eventually get killed by the contamination. So there are things we can do, and there are also things that nature has provided for us, because nature's been in contact with hydrocarbons for millennia. And various bacteria and microorganisms have evolved which actually use hydrocarbons as a food source. These bacteria have been isolated, you can multiply them up, and we can actually get them into a stable form, which is as an endospore, and they'll last for 2 or 3 years in a formulated liquid, which can be stored and be there ready to apply. Once you add water to this formulation, the bacteria actually come out of their resting bodies and they start to multiply up, and they'll start looking for a food source. And as their food source are hydrocarbons, they will actually then start bioremediating the oil and work through the soil profile and basically extracting the carbon, because that's what they're using as a food source to actually stimulate multiplication. So all they need is a food source, and we've provided that food source by the unfortunate break from a hydraulic pipe in this particular case. And what they will do is they will use the carbon to actually produce more bacteria and convert the remainder to carbon dioxide, water, and actually in the process they produce a little bit of heat, not enough to cause any problems, but basically biological processes always create heat when they go through breaking down products. So the other ideal thing with these is once actually the hydrocarbon has been consumed, the bacteria stop multiplying and in effect just basically die and go back to their resting bodies. So if there is another spill, then the bacteria will be there available in the soil to decontaminate. So what is the product? Well, the product we're going to be using is RT Remediact. This product has been produced specifically for use on turf and for soils, and in effect contains billions and billions of stabilized microorganisms and bacteria, which are there ready just in case you need them. What you do is you add 100 ml of the product to a litre of water, and then once the product is added to water, the microorganisms will actually start coming out of that resting body and start multiplying up very rapidly. But they do need to have a food source. So if there is a food source available, in this case we've spilt hydraulic oil, you apply the product, the spray, liberally to the contaminated area, and the microorganism will seek out the hydrocarbons, and then they produce enzymes to basically break down the molecules so they have a carbon source, and also to create CO2 and water. So in effect, you've actually introduced a bioremediation factory to the contaminated area, so it detoxifies all of the oil that's there and actually allows the grass to recover and carry on growing. So we looked at the picture earlier. This spill actually happened on the 17th of the 4th. These guys were able to actually spray the area later on that day with Remediact, and if you look 13 days later, you can actually still see the area where the turf was contaminated, but actually it's well on its way to recovery. How do we know that? Well, if you look at an area that wasn't treated, and this picture was taken on the 30th of the 4th, the same day as the one on the right hand side, you can actually see that the oil has severely damaged the turf, and in this case this playing field would have had to have been, or the area would have to have been returfed, which would have been a very expensive exercise, very time consuming, etc. So as we say, seeing is believing. This is a beautiful day in July on Rockcliffe on the 6th fairway, out mowing, and basically What's happened is a hydraulic pipe has broken and the whole length of the fairway has actually been contaminated. If we look at what that looked like 41 days after the contamination, you can see massive damage to the turf, and obviously if this something hadn't been done, that would have had to have been returfed, reseeded, etc. Luckily, these guys had a demonstration from us and had some product available in the store, and they were able to get out within an hour and actually spray wherever they could find the contamination. That's what it looked like after 21 days. And then after 41 days, you can actually still see where the pipe was spraying, but actually it's almost recovered. So if you compare that to the first shot, you can see how much recovery we've been able to achieve with what we call in situ bioremediation. So we haven't had to dig any soil up, we haven't had to have create any waste, because obviously that's now contaminated waste and that's expensive to get rid of, and obviously toxic as well. So we can actually see that the product has really performed throughout that 41 days after it was applied. So as you said, seeing is believing. These products can actually be created in different forms. We do have the Remediact, which is purposely designed for use on turf. And then there are also within the same family, RT Fleet Clean, which has a cleaning agent added to it and is designed for use on hard surfaces. So if you have oil spills or fuel spills on hard surfaces, you can clean that up, decontaminate it, and start the bioremediation process. Also, because these bacteria are very specific, we have a formulation called RTFPT 600, and this is specifically designed for actually bioremediating food waste, fats, and other fatty type contaminations. It can also be used for actually clearing drains and stopping the build-up of fats within a drainage system. So I hope you found that useful. We can now have a solution to the dreaded oil spill, and it's RT Remediact. Thank you for listening. Catch up with you soon. Bye.